It's War Dragon time, RPW here with another video to the Beginner's Guide to War Dragon series. Now, if you remember, this month we're actually going through a 4-part series to help you prepare for the next season's events. Now, we've already gone over utilizing events to grow and how you can prepare for future events. But this week, let's go over what you can expect to come next season. Now, before we do, I want to also let you know that this is in no way a prediction or an insight of like specific dragons or events or whatever that may be coming during the summer season. This is simply a basis of what you can expect every time a season changes and what you can kind of expect when it comes to this next one. So the next season will become the summer season event. And if you'll look back into my past video where I go over seasons and predicting events, you will see what I mean. So they have 3 months that they do one season in, and there are 4 seasons every year. We have just finished up the spring season. Now we're moving into the summer, and then we'll move into the fall and the winter later on in the year. So what is it specifically that you need to know about this season change? Well, there are a few things, especially if you're just now getting here, if this is your first season with War Dragons, that you really need to know in order to prepare yourself for the upcoming season. For example, the things that you earn in this season, like when it comes to your resources such as, food packs and elemental embers and so forth, those will always forward into future seasons. Any dragons or dragon eggs, I shouldn't say eggs, but evolution stones will also forward into future seasons. Now, this season though, specifically, you will get what they call the seasonal sigils. Right now, currently, we actually have the spring sigils, which means you will not be able to spend spring sigils on summer sigil dragons. So if you have any sigils left at the end of this season, be sure to spend them, because once they're gone for good. But when it comes to the new season sigil, we do know it will be a summer sigil, and they'll match it up to whatever theme they go with, but we won't know what it looks like till it's been released. Now, another thing we could mention is the fact that there will be all new dragons and most likely riders coming this summer event. Now, I have no idea what kind of, dragons they're going to bring in when it comes to their spells or the theme that they choose, but there will be an entirely new set of dragons that come in, as well as more than likely some more riders. Now, that's not a guarantee, but that's kind of what they've been doing, so you can guess that that would be the case. Now, every season they release a mythic dragon, and if you go back to like the fall, the way they would, their mythic dragon at that time was, I think it was Moonfang, and he was a warrior dragon. Now the next mythic dragon, and if you don't know what a mythic dragon is, the mythic dragon is the super powerful one you can earn. If you unlock all the other dragons on his tier, then you could start working on him. But okay, so your mythic in the fall, I believe, was Moonfang, and he was a warrior. And then in the winter, it was a hunter, and I cannot remember that dragon's name to save my life, but it was a hunter dragon. It may have been Neptus or something. And then after that, we went on into this season, which is the spring season that we're in currently, and it's actually a sorcerer dragon, that mythic dragon that we have available currently right now, which is Korthanak. So you can expect that more than likely, the next mythic dragon will more than likely, we're not 100% sure, but if they follow that same pattern, will be a warrior dragon. Now, if you remember, they have a very special rider this season, where it's not necessarily a mythic rider, but I think they call it a veteran rider. They might, and they might not bring that back again this event, or this season. My guess is it's more than likely going to have to do with how successful that was, or how much response they got from that. So I don't know that there will be another one, but it's very possible that they follow the same pattern that they did this past season, which is 2 dragons to unlock the mythic dragon, and then 2 dragons, or a dragon and a rider, whatever, to unlock a veteran writer. So keep an eye out on that. Now, another thing I really want to go over is the fact that there will be returns of certain features and events in this season. For example, the wildfire attack. It is a rather new feature in the game, so you can imagine that more than likely they would give this more than one chance, or more than just, one play out or two before the next event. So you can more than likely expect the wildfire to continue into the next season. Now, just like every season, there will be a cycle. There'll be a cycle of PvPs, feedings, breedings, and of course your fortifications. You can look at my predicting events video I mentioned earlier. I will go ahead and include the link in this video description so you can get a better idea of what you can expect. Like, you can kind of predict what's coming. But I suggest you wait until after we find out when the feeding event is going to be. Until they put out the feeding event, whether it's going to be the second week of the new season or what, that's going to be really difficult to kind of predict what is coming up in the future. Now, with that being said, once you have figured out when the feeding event is, you're going to be able to, follow that cycle that they usually follow. Now, if you go to wardragons.info, enter their calendar section, they actually have a log of all the events that happened in the last, year and a half, 2 years. So be sure to check that out if you need any kind of assistance on looking further back. However, in every event, now they don't start out with the feeding event every single time, and they're not promised to be after a breeding or before a breeding or anything. Because if you look at the past history, they do pop up in weird places. But generally, you can expect after a feeding event that it's going to begin a pattern. So once you've had your feeding, wait till the next event, and let's say the next one is the breeding event. It's like in this past season, it was the feeding, then the breeding. Well, then you can expect that there will be a PvP in between each one. So once you've had your breeding, the next one will be some type of PvP. Then the next one will be a fortification, then another PvP of some type, and then a breeding, and so forth. So there is a pattern. It's like an ABC. No, actually, I'm sorry. It's like ABCB, ABCB, A. You know what I mean? So just kind of get used to that pattern so you know what's usually coming up. Now, they should bring back Kingdom Wars. This is a very new event. And I know that there's a lot of players that find it boring or very, very hard to utilize. If you're finding it boring, you're not playing it right. If you're finding it, difficult, again, you're not playing it right. And it might just mean you're on the wrong team, where there's no strategy, or you're on a team where they have so many allies that you can't do much. So be sure that if you're not liking this event, that it isn't because of the event, but because of the situation that you're in during that event. I know that my team is loving this event, and not just because we're winning, but because we're really enjoying the strategies that we're utilizing in our game. Also, the end of the season, so a lot of players have gotten what they want, and they're not as big about getting out there and spending their points. They're saving up rubies and stuff for the next season. And then you've got those players that are trying to get whatever they can in the last bit. So there's always that. Now, another one you can expect to see is the fight pits. The fight pits will, of course, return unless they decide to retire it, but I don't see that happening so quickly. And then we also can expect to see the two minor events, which is the fortification event and the breeding event. Now, the fortification's where you build, and the breeding event is where you breed dragons. Now, I don't know for sure, but they did say in a past live stream that they should be bringing in a new PvP during the summer event. I don't know when that will come out. It could be the very end of the season. It could be the very beginning. It could be smack dab in the middle. There has been no details released on this information. Not even when we can expect it. We just know that it should come during the summer season, but we must also remember sometimes things don't go exactly as planned, and then we might not see it, which means if they've retired all the other events like they said they were going to, we could just see those two other events, the fight pits, the Kingdom Wars, the fight pits, the Kingdom Wars. I'm not for sure, so be prepared for that. But now that you know what to expect next season, this is going to allow you to understand the importance of the general event preparation, which we go over in last week's video. You've got to constantly be preparing for your feeding events and your breeding events, and of course also your fortifications and your PVPs. And I go over that with a little more detail in my last video from last week, so be sure to check that out. So with that being said, guys, be sure to follow the little things that I've put out in this guide so that you know what you can expect and what you can do to help you prepare for upcoming events so that you can get the maximum amount of points for your sigils and so forth. Now, before we wrap this up, I also want to apologize that Friday's video Q&A with RPW did not go out. I had a lot of stuff happen and got super busy, so I didn't get around to that. However, I will be working on that today, so you actually get a second video today. Mondays are your really easy days for me to get things done for you guys here on my YouTube channel because I don't work on Mondays. But Fridays can be very, very hectic. Sometimes I work late at night. It just depends on how busy we are at work. So I apologize for that. But tomorrow you can also expect to see me here. I do have a special guest again for Talk Dragon Tuesday, and I actually have quite a few special guests lined up over the course of the next month. So I'm really excited about where Talk Dragon Tuesday is going, and I think that between all these new cool special guests coming in and of course the giveaways, that show is going to be something you will not want to miss when it comes out every Tuesday. Now you can expect that the Talk Dragon Tuesdays for every week here on out should be posted at about 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, so be sure to check on that every Tuesday. Now I do want to do a recap really quick, which is basically to remind you that when this new season begins, you really want to get out there and know all the information you can immediately. So go check out the YouTubers. You can check out my site. I should have information as soon as I have that information. And then, of course, make sure you're watching the live streams that War Dragons is doing. Keep up with their blogs, etc. This is going to help you in the beginning make a decision on dragons and so forth. Now, next week, we'll actually be going over, choosing your prizes. We're going to go over the argument of should you stick with one dragon all the way through? Should you get more than one? However that goes, should you go with a discount dragon or should you go with the hunter? So we're going to kind of go over that during next week's video. So be sure to check back if you have any question about that specifically. Now don't forget, later today there will be a Q&A video with RPW. So be sure to check back here in a few hours so you can check that out. All right, guys, that is it for today. Don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Happy hunting!